Hey there, educators, and welcome back to the Make Math Happen podcast. So, before I get started today, I have to share what one of my listeners shared with me. She was like, I know the podcast name has shifted, but it may have to shift again. It may have to change again. She said, because you're not just talking about making math happen, you're talking about making learning happen, no matter the content area. And I appreciate that feedback. Knowing that what I'm sharing here is beneficial, no matter what your lane is, really helps me. It really pushes me to show up every single week to share the things that I'm learning with you. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into today because, yeah, I got some things on my mind and I'm not going to hold a lot of your time, but I do want to share with you some trends that I'm noticing. Okay. So, in my district, we are about 6 weeks into the school year. And I've been in classrooms, I've been through hallways, I've been in PLCs. And if I'm honest, there's one phrase that I have heard too many times to count. These kids can't. And to be quite honest with you, this phrase isn't new this year. This is a phrase I've heard time and time again be used to describe the kids that are in the classroom. I get it because last week I talked to you guys about the weight of the work. I know that it's heavy. I know that the kids, their learning gaps are wide. There's a lot of unfinished learning. The behaviors can be discouraging. But here's the truth. I really want to sink into your spirit, okay? Our words mean things. Our body language means things, okay? So students will meet us where we set the bar. So if our expectations are in the basement, guess where their actions will be, okay? Expect very little, and very little is what you're going to get. Expect greatness, and they're going to show up every single time. So I want us to talk about John Hattie. I have mentioned him several times over the course of this past 10 months that I've been reviving the podcast. And I want to share something with you today about one of those influences, and that is collective teacher efficacy, the single most powerful influence on student learning. In Hattie's research, the effect size of collective teacher efficacy is 1.57. And I always got to use my place value, 1 and 57 hundredths. Okay, THS on the end. That's not just a number. It means that when teachers collectively believe that they can make a difference, student achievement accelerates faster than with any other factor. Now, for a little more context, teacher estimates of achievement, and this is how accurately teachers gauge what their students can do, sits at 1.29, 1 and 29 hundredths. Both of these are game changers, but together they tell us this. When we believe in our students and in our ability to help them grow, we create conditions where learning can't help but happen. Lately, though, I feel like the narrative is drifting. When I'm on social media, when I'm in school buildings, when I'm in conversation with educators, we've started focusing on what students can't do, what students aren't. They can't multiply. They don't care. They won't try. And while that may feel like the truth in the moment, it's also a trap. It's also a ceiling. Every time we declare what students can't do, we teach them to believe us. Our words are building ceilings, not bridges. We have to ask ourselves, are we describing or are we defining? Because once we define them by their gaps, we've already limited their growth. Collective efficacy isn't about toxic positivity. It's a shared responsibility. It's when a team looks at data and says, okay, all right, this is where we are right now. We're not there yet, but we can fix this together. It's when we shift from isolation, my class, my kids, to collaboration, our kids, our impact. We need to have an active interest in the success of our kids and really think about what we can control. Because oftentimes in these conversations, people are bringing things up like socioeconomic status, where kids live, where they come from, what their parents are teaching them. Do those things have an impact on student learning, how students show up to school, students' beliefs? Absolutely, they do. But guess what has a greater impact? Collective teacher efficacy. It's when teachers stop asking what's wrong with them and start asking, what can we adjust in our instruction, in our circle of control to make it click, to make that learning happen, to make the math happen? So you may be listening to this and you may be thinking, okay, how can I turn the belief into action? How do we build this? 3 shifts. I want you to shift your language from focusing on deficits to focusing on the assets or being determined and having determined talk. Stop saying they can't and start saying they haven't yet. That single word yet changes the tone, the energy, and the expectation, your expectation, which is leading what's happening in that classroom. Number 2, we need to shift from isolation to collective intention. A lot of times I see people feel like they're working together, right? They may be shifting students between classrooms. They may be in huddles talking about the things that are going wrong. But how often are we thinking about, okay, so this is working in your classroom. I'm going to change it. I'm going to put my own spin on it, and I'm going to see what impact it has because you're also teaching these students, and some of the things I'm experiencing, you're not. So what can I learn from you? True efficacy is built in teams that share wins, analyze misses, and commit to collective improvement. Number 3, we got to shift from blame to blueprint. When things don't work, we're not pointing fingers. We're building plans. And this is something that I'm trying really hard to get my school to understand, that when we come together and we're talking about data, when we're talking about the things that are going on in our school from a academic perspective, from a behavioral perspective, it is not pointing fingers. And when you're asked questions, it is not you being blamed. It is us understanding what's going on so that we then can take what we understand, take what we know is happening, and then start to problem solve. Unfortunately, we don't always get to the solution because we spend so much time being offended by the questions that we're being asked about the problems that we're experiencing. So we have to be reflective and we have to take pride out of it because it is what it is at the end of the day. If you're experiencing something difficult in your classroom, okay, that's the truth. So now what can we do? Now we need to look at the actions that are taking place in our classroom and see where we need to tweak things, see what we need to change, see what we need to implement, okay? And I ask teachers, what is it that you want to stop doing? What is it that you want to keep doing? What is it that you want to start doing? When I listen to this person describe the successes in their classroom, I notice that this is something that I'm not doing, so maybe I should start doing that. And then I know I'm doing this. It's not effective. They're not doing this. Maybe I should stop doing this. Oh, wow, this is really working. I noticed that whenever I do this, the students are really engaged. I'm going to keep doing that. So when we think about our routines, when we think about how we want students to act in our classroom, to learn in our classroom, to be successful in our classroom, what about the plan? What about our expectations have we not made clear? Because clarity is key. Clarity is also kindness, right? Because a student can't do what they're not aware of. A student can't live up to an expectation that they didn't know was there, right? So again, those 3 things can assist you in turning your belief into action and shifting from this deficit lens to more of an asset lens, more of an action lens. Is number 1, we're gonna go from deficit talk to determined talk, right? We're not focused on what you don't have. We're focusing on what we can do because you may not have it yet, but it's on the way. Okay. Number 2, from isolation to collective intention. So collective and collaboration isn't just about the venting, right? It is also about the intentional action, the intentional things that we're putting in place to move us towards success. Number 3, from blame to blueprint. We're not blaming anybody. We're not pointing fingers. We are sharing our reality so that we can come up with a plan so that we can experience success, so that our kids can experience success, and so that we can relieve some of our stress. Because when you have a lot of things that you feel like are going wrong in your classroom, it is very stressful. It is very overwhelming. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. Okay. So, in closing, guys, this week, I want you to tune into your own language, and that is your verbal language, but also your body language as well. I want you to notice what you say about your students and to them. I want you to notice what your facial expressions say, what your body language says, okay, about them and to them. I want you to ask yourself this question: if my students believed only what they heard me say and what my body language told them, what would they believe? When we decide together that our kids can, guess what? They will. So let's make belief our baseline. Believing that we have the potential to positively impact students' lives, positively impact the way that students learn. When we believe we can, and then we also believe they can, we're making efficacy visible. So I want us to do that. So let's make math and learning happen this week. I'll see you guys soon.